Greetings. With about 3 minutes to go before the end of the session, this is how US markets are trading. We can see for now, we are up slightly as far as the US major averages are concerned. Right now, the Dow and the NASDAQ, S&P 500 up anywhere from 0.4 to 0.7 on the NASDAQ. If we take a look at BTC, it is down slightly, down 1.1. Ethereum is down about 0.62. So this is going to serve as the weekend market analysis video, as I will be traveling going into Friday session. So consider this as the weekend market analysis video. So we can see here, surprisingly, for the week, markets are positive. You can see US markets are up anywhere from 1.5 to about 2%. Cryptos are down slightly, and most surprisingly is the monthly performance. NASDAQ is up almost 2%, Dow is a little bit unchanged, and NASDAQ especially is the one with a good performance, 4%. We can see BTC and Ethereum up 11 and 21%. So those are huge gains. Kind of a surprise because you'd anticipate that the market would have been down given all the bearish sentiment. All right. Let's go take a look at the Dow and begin with the Dow daily. So right now, Dow is converging with a lot of things. That's the market close, by the way. And so we'll take a look at the closing numbers at the end of the video. So this is the Dow daily. And right now you can see that based on where the Dow is trading, it is trading exactly where you have the convergence of the 50 and the 200-day moving average. So exactly where they're intersecting, the 50 and the 200 is where the Dow is trading. And this should not be a surprise that somewhere around here, the market's going to have to decide, are we going to find resistance around here? Or ultimately, is the market going to be able to clear this range and move to the upside? So that's the main takeaway here. I'm sure there's a lot of institutions that are going to be making decisions right now based on where the market is trading, either above the moving averages for a bullish move, or we see resistance and we start pulling back. Also, if you take a look at the fact that the 50-day moving average is also coming in play, if we take a look at the RSI, there's a topside line that is coming in focus, and the Dow RSI is trading exactly on the line. Also, we can take a look at the backtest line, and again, converging with exactly where the Dow daily is trading. So either this becomes a resistance or a breakout area. And there's also another way of looking at this. We can use the uniformity concept, and you can see that where we broke down sometime in February, if we take a look at the horizontal line, or what I call the uniformity line, this is also now going to be coming sharply in focus. In other words, we have three lines on the daily for the Dow that are coming in play. So you got the top side line again, and then also we have the backtest line, which I'm going to draw in black. So the market right here needs to make a decision. Either we're going to find resistance and we pull back, or this time we are going to move and clear the three lines. So of course, that's what the bulls would want to do. And of course, if we are going to move higher, then we are also going to be moving above the moving averages. So above the three lines and above the moving averages is what the bulls want to see take place. Now, the Dow on the weekly. Remember, the Dow weekly is slightly under 50. So if it can move above 50, it might mean a good close into the end of this week, or whenever it moves above 50. Keep in mind, over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about this backtest line on the Dow, and it is holding. So since that line has held over the last 2-3 weeks, market's been moving higher on cue. So that was well telegraphed based on the backtest of this black line. And so the reversal to the upside is consistent with that analysis from about 2-3 weeks ago. The NASDAQ weekly. Now remember, a couple of weeks ago when we were down significantly, we can see that the market was playing games because it turned out to be a trap. Why? Because if you go back and recall my analysis, I was drawing this very simple line as a backtest line, and assuming that if that line held, we were potentially going to recover. Now we can see that yes, the market did recover, and in fact, not only did it recover, it also pushed above RSI 50 for that very nice recovery. And remember, whenever you see RSI 50 uniformity, you always want to anticipate the possibility of a market moving higher. So right now we are looking at another way is considering the breakout in terms of price. But before that, we can also consider where there's a possibility of a market coming back to retest the break from early 2022, late 2021. And if you use the uniformity concept, we can see that right now is a decision time to be made by the NASDAQ. Either it's going to find resistance or break out above the line. So, of course, depending on which side you're playing, you'd want to see a breakout if you're bullish. Now, if the market's going to go higher, another way of looking at this, and to keep it simple, you'd want to see it clear January's weekly closing high. And so that number is going to be 12,006.95. So if the market can clear and stay above this level, that would be bullish for the market and for the NASDAQ as well. Otherwise, a failed breakout above this number would mean that the market is actually in an appetite and in a mood to pull back. But ultimately, don't anticipate a strong down market until we break the blue line, which is the RSI lows line. We would have to break this line first and foremost before the market can go into a protracted, strong bear market trend. As long as we are pulling back above this line, the market should be stable to bullish, in my humble opinion. Now, if we take a look at the weekly closing high from late 2021 and connect to the recent weekly closing high from January, you can see that the NASDAQ has been above this line for 2 weeks in a row. Let me clear that line and start again. So connecting the trend lines here, you can see that this trend line has been broken with a bullish breakout to the upside over the last 2 weeks. And this week happens to be confirmation of that breakout. So net, things are looking sideways to positive as far as the NASDAQ is concerned. And don't forget, I've been talking about the moving averages crossing over. This is a bullish crossover, suggesting a market that is sideways to high. Taking a look at the S&P 500 on the weekly, you can see if we draw the trend line for the S&P 500, we are coming back and now we are making contact with that trend line. Obviously, this is going to determine how institutions are playing this market. If we see resistance, they're going to hold off from being aggressive and the market's going to pull back. Otherwise, movement above the trend line is what the bulls want to see. Remember, this week, we started the week with the RSI below 50. So once we moved above 50 for the week, it was suggesting that net, we are going to see a good, stable week to the upside with the possibility of the market closing towards highs for the week. So always remember, whenever you're moving above 50, you tend to have a reaction to the upside if it's a bullish crossover above 50. And so this week, once we began the week, the market was leaning towards a nice close for the entire week. Remember, the last time we had a big down week in the market was about, let's call it 4 weeks ago. And that's when the S&P 500 dropped its RSI below 50. And you can see the consequence of that is a big down week. So just remember that these things play out in that sense. So movement above 50, we have a good reaction over the last couple of weeks. Taking a look at the XLF, and this is the weekly for the XLF. Of course, the financials have taken a big hit in the month of March 2023. Now, using the uniformity concept, a concept by yours truly, we can see we found support in October, September, and now as long as we hold above the blue line, we give it the benefit of the doubt for a stable to bullish market. Now, whatever happens in the weeks ahead is going to be determined by where the RSI is trading. So we are seeing a 10%, 11% correction this month, and it is because the XLF is pushing its monthly RSI below 50. So that makes sense with the crossing below 50 gives us this big down month. Now you have to be open to the possibility of a recovery month if and when we move back above RSI 50 on the monthly for the XLF. Now, if you take a look at the long-term picture for the XLF, the financials going back all the way to the lows of 09, we can see this trend line here. This trend line is potentially what is being tested. As long as it holds above the black line, the long-term trend line, then we are moving higher in the weeks and months ahead. But be careful, because if we end up breaking this trend line, wow, there could be another big push to the downside. Remember, we broke this level here in mid 07 and we broke it down again in late 07, and that is what led to the financial crash of 2008. So as long as we are not breaking the trend line right now, which is from the lows of 09, then the market is not breaking down as far as the financials are concerned. Otherwise, a break of this trend line at some point, you would have to be very careful, because the market would be positioning itself for an aggressive down move in the financials and potentially for the entire market itself. Taking a look at the Nifty on the monthly, we can consider where it broke out in, let's call it mid of 2020, and this breakout led to a nice move to all-time highs, and this is the line I would be watching month to month for the Nifty. We had come and tested the line mid 2022 and we went to new highs, and now we can see that after going to new highs after the support in 2022, now we are coming possibly with the possibility of either finding support, which would suggest a recovery in the weeks and months ahead, potentially even to test recent highs. And at the same time, if we cannot hold the blue line and we start drifting lower, then that is a market that is poised for lower prices in the months ahead. And also, if it drops below 50 on the monthly, be on the lookout for a big down month. Now, if we take a look at the Nifty from a long-term perspective, and now this is the weekly, by the way. So weekly for the Nifty going back 5 years, we can see this movement of the RSI in, let's call it about April, May of 2020. And this line has been used by the Nifty for support. As you can see here, double bottom, took a couple months and that held, and now we are holding again. So as long as this line is holding, we have to give the benefit of the doubt to the market moving higher as far as the Nifty is concerned. And again, that's the line. The line is at about RSI 38.2. Taking a look at GLD. Now, GLD is attempting a breakout above July of 2020's monthly closing high. And let me give you that level. That level is at 185.43. So if it can clear this level, then we can give it another look. So remember, we had stalled, and that stall took place in, let's call it early 2022. There was a failed breakout. And if you go back to the videos I was making at the time, I was really questioning that breakout because it did not meet the minimum requirements for the ultimate Muade breakout. And even this current breakout attempt is not as appealing to me because it does not meet the minimum requirements for the ultimate Muade breakout. So that's the issue, is it's trying to break out but does not have the minimum requirements. At any rate, you'd want to see a breakout above 185.43. If it can break out and hold above 185.43, maybe we can entertain some breakout stocks in the gold space, which I do notice some stocks are trying to break out, and actually one or two of them that I'm aware of are doing great. Now, at least are holding up. But if you go back to where we break down in early 2021, we can see that this RSI level is what is being tested, in my opinion. So you can see that the market is aware of this level. And if you go back to the resistance around April, May again of 2021, we had resistance early 2022. And here we are testing this line. If we are to go higher, clearly we would have to clear this line. That's just a given. We would have to clear the line if we are going higher. Otherwise, resistance on this line means that the next meaningful direction is for GLD to be moving lower. Now remember, this blue line happens to be conveniently around RSI 61.8. By the way, remember, when we are moving above 50 is when markets tend to be bullish. And the last time we had a nice move is when we cleared and went to 3-year highs as far as GLD is concerned. And in fact, let me test this before let me confirm this. All right, yes. So this move we are seeing in 2019 took place because the RSI was moving to 3-year highs right there. And that is what gave us an inkling that the market was going to respond positively for gold. That's the last ultimate Muade breakout. And at the time we played those breakouts because of that minimum requirements. And if we take a look at the MACDs, for sure the MACDs, even without looking at them, I remember that they were breaking out to 3-year highs. And that is why in 2019, we had most successful move in gold because the RSI and MACDs moved to 3-year highs. In other words, they met the minimum requirements for the ultimate Moade breakout. Right now, we are looking at the exact opposite, which is possibility of resistance, and we are not moving the RSI to 3-year highs. Take a look at the XLF, and this is the weekly for the XLF, 5-year weekly. Take a look at this breakout that led to a nice move in price. Now we can take that area and draw our uniformity support line, and you can see the market, being aware of this level, has found support in 2021. So let's call it summer of 2021. We found support again in 2022, couple of times, and now in 2023. So as long as the weekly is holding, we have to give the XLF the benefit of the doubt for stability, if not movement higher. Now, if we take a look at XLF, and this is the monthly for XLF, what we can do is just draw a simple line. That was the breakout line, in my opinion, and then draw a horizontal line, which is a uniformity line. And again, as long as we are above the blue line, we have to give the benefit of the doubt for market now finding stability after a pullback over the last couple of months, potentially even setting up for a breakout. Now, if we break below the line, then definitely we are leaning towards a market that will go down. Now, keep in mind, if we take a look now at the USO, it's coming back from the lows of the month, and it is doing its best to stay and hold above RSI 50. So remember, whatever is going to happen in a big picture perspective is going to be determined on the RSI, whether it's above 50. If it's above 50 and finds support, then that's a good market. Remember, if it can hold 50, it has a chance of retesting recent monthly closing highs. Now, we can see that when the markets are going down, you tend to have reaction and resistance around RSI 50. So if we can now change and start finding support at the RSI 50 level on the monthly for USO and crude oil, chances are this market could be stabilizing and poised to go higher in the weeks and months ahead. Taking a look at BTC, and this is the monthly. You can see for the month up 21%. And I would say this is because, as I mentioned, during the month, if we retake RSI 50, now we are trading at 50.26, the chances are we would have a big up month, and that's exactly what we are getting for BTC. So as long as we're above 50, we give it the benefit of the doubt, and we assume that it is still going to have some remnant momentum. The last couple of times we've had big moves in 2016, 2017, and another big move 2019 into 2021. The RSI on the monthly was definitely above 50. Now, sometimes you can go into a bearish phase where 50 becomes resistance. So if BTC is rejected around RSI 50 and has a monthly move below 50, expect the next big move for BTC to be down if the monthly RSI 50 becomes rejection area. Taking a look at Ethereum, we can see Ethereum is also trying its best to close above 50. Now, you'd want it, if you're bullish, to close below 50 so that next month it can have a chance of moving above 50 again for another big up month. Otherwise, this is a critical area. Above 50 for all of these charts, markets should be good. Otherwise, if RSI 50 becomes resistance on any of these big index charts, then chances are resistance around 50 means the next meaningful direction is for markets to go down. I am Eric with Moade.com. I leave you as I found you. These are the closing numbers for March 30th, 2023. I leave you as I found you in the love light of the one infinite creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one creator. Adonai.